Today, I'm going to talk about how to figure out the paces you should be using for different types of workouts. 5.36 miles, 9 minutes, 13 seconds per mile, 140 beats per minute for me on this very easy day, taking it easy. Still in a recovery phase for me before I get ready for the next training block, whatever that may be. I'm still not even sure. But today what I want to talk about is a follow-up to the video I made last week, which was about heart rate versus pace versus power and how you kind of figure out your different training intensities. Now, before I get into that, I don't think I need any disclosures in terms of financial disclosures for this type of video, but I do want to give some disclaimers. I'm not a coach. I'm not certified to be a coach. I've never coached anyone myself. So let's keep that all in mind. I'm just approaching this as someone that writes their own training plans, has been coached from time to time, not frequently. I generally don't like having a coach, but someone that's kind of been bumbling through it and been figuring out these things on my own. So these are kind of my thoughts on it. If you have a coach, I would certainly defer to your coach. After all, that's what you're paying them for. But have conversations with them. It's always important to make sure you're understanding why your coach is giving you things. So with that out of the way, let's talk about training by pace. So when you're training by pace, the idea is that you're not gonna run the same pace every single day. Different days you're gonna wanna have different types of workouts. And even within those workouts, it's not like you're gonna have an easy day and then a hard day, and all those hard days are gonna look the same. You're gonna have different types of workouts to kind of stimulate different types of growth in your body, or adaptations, or however physiological response, whatever you wanna call it. So there's a couple of different kinds of runs that come up frequently in a variety of different training plans. If you've been looking at different training plans, you've probably seen some of these things. And you might see different runs described as like easy runs or long runs. And for that, I kind of would describe that as conversational pace. If you're trying to figure out like, what does easy run mean? A pace where you can run with another person and have another conversation, talk in relatively full sentences without having to breathe really hard. That's kind of conversational pace. Other ways that I've seen it framed are like 90 seconds slower than 5K pace, or 2 minutes slower than 10K pace. So a couple of different ways of looking at it. The purpose of that is to build your aerobic system. And today I'm going to be focusing a lot on distance runners because that's my kind of realm of experience. And with distance races, most of that work is going to be done with your aerobic system. So building that aerobic base with easy running is what you're going to be spending most of your time doing. Even in high intensity weeks, a lot of your time is still going to be spent in easy runs and in recovery. And the idea is that it not only gives you that cardiovascular benefit, but also enables you to be fresher for when you want to really work hard on those hard days as well. So there's not only an independent benefit to an easy run, there's a secondary benefit of, if you make sure you keep those easy days easy, you will be able to run those hard days hard. So the next type of run that I'll talk about is kind of like the threshold pace of run. And threshold, it refers to like the anaerobic or aerobic threshold, where your systems turn from using mostly oxygen as the energy source to then anaerobic systems. So think of anaerobic systems as like when you're in an all-out sprint, that's almost all anaerobic. And when you're out on your easy run, it should be all aerobic. And finding that point right at which your body starts to switch over predominantly from one to the other, that's where the threshold run's supposed to be. A lot of people describe that as comfortably hard, or to get a little bit more specific, people will put it somewhere between your half marathon pace and your 10K pace. Then the other type of run is for intervals. And so intervals are something that's going to be a little bit faster still. The idea is building tolerance for discomfort at longer levels without going fully anaerobic. And so it's going to be faster than your threshold pace. Those paces are going to be about 5K pace is generally what people think of for intervals. Those are going to be shorter in duration than some of your threshold types of runs, but they're not going to be super short either. They're not going to be stuff that you do necessarily on a track. Now, then there is your repetitions pace, which is considered by a lot of people to be about your mile race pace. And so those are things that you would do, like your 200s, your 400s, maybe even some of your 800s at. You will do a lot of these on a track. You don't have to, but that's probably where you do most of them. And that's going to be significantly anaerobic, not 100%, but you're going to be really working on that anaerobic system and really working on leg strength and turnover and a lot of those things when you're working on those repetitions. Short and fast, really powerful, all the way down to super easy and slow and relaxed for easy pace. The question then becomes, okay, so I've talked about things in terms of mile, 5K, 10K, half marathon, threshold pace, easy pace. How do you figure out what those numbers are if you don't know what any of those numbers should be to begin with? So the way that I would normally look at it is I'll use a tool like the McMillan Pace Calculator, which is something that's available for free online. You do have to give them your email address to do it, but I don't think they subscribe you to emails when you like put in your email address. They'll send you some stuff, like an initial, like welcome to McMillan kind of thing. But I don't think that they bombard you with emails. At least I don't think that I get them unless I've unsubscribed. But in any event, but you can use that tool, and I think it's really handy. All you need is a time trial or a recent race pace, and then it's helpful to have a goal pace. Let's say you're looking at improving your 5K. If you have run a recent 5K, you can put that in. Let's say you're running at about 24 minutes for your 5K, and you want to improve to, let's say, about 22. You want to break that 22-minute barrier for your 5K. So looking for a 2-minute improvement, which is a substantial improvement. So you can put those two numbers into the pace calculator, hit the calculate my paces, and then it'll populate paces that you should be running. So if you run a 5K time trial, then you have that 24 minutes as your time. Your interval pace, which is your 5K pace, is 7 minutes 43 seconds. If you then have to put in a threshold run where you're running maybe 5-10 minutes at that faster pace in a single block, then your threshold pace is going to be 8 minutes and 15 seconds because you're looking at in between the half marathon pace and the 10K pace. So I'd put that at about 8 minutes 15 seconds. And then if you're going even faster for your mile repeat, so like how fast you could run a mile at a race on that given day based on your 24 minutes 5K level of fitness, that'd be you're running those mile repeats or like those mile pace repeats at 6 minutes and 54 seconds. So a lot faster than you can run your 5K time, but all those repetitions are going to be really, really short bursts. Then on the other hand, you have your goal paces, and this is kind of like where you need to get to. And so for that 22 minutes goal 5K pace, your goal threshold paces should be 7 minutes and 35 seconds per mile. Your 5K pace is going to be 7 minutes 5 seconds, and those repetitions are going to be at 6 minutes 20 seconds per mile. So really fast compared to the 6:54, so quite a bit different, but it's also quite a bit different in terms of pace, getting from 24 minutes to 22. So now you've got those kind of two sets of numbers, and here's where I think a lot of people make problems. And at the 5K level, I don't think it's quite as significant of a problem, but once you're getting to like the half marathon and marathon kind of training phases, this is where I think like the difference between the two numbers becomes more important. A lot of people will just say, okay, I want to run that 22-minute 5K. So when I train, I'm going to train at all these 22-minute set of numbers. But I think that it's kind of jumping the gun a little bit, and you're not getting the exact benefit of the workout that you're looking for. In other words, your threshold's going to be a little bit too anaerobic. So you're going to be running that a little bit too hot. Your interval paces are going to be a little bit too hard. They're going to be more like repetition style work. So you're not going to get the benefit you're looking for your interval work. And your repetitions might be too hard, and you might be overexerting yourself, or you might not even be able to hit those paces for the duration of time that you need to hit them. So the thing that I would change in terms of what most people will do is take your current 5K time trial, or maybe it was a recent 5K race, and start doing your intervals at that. I think there's a little bit of a more recent train of thought where you don't get to move up to faster paces until you've like proven yourself at the given paces. So I would say at the beginning, depending on how kind of condensed your training plan is, if you've got plenty of time for your 5K training plan, I would say do the first couple of workouts at your current level of fitness paces. Once you nail those, then I think you could start tweaking it up further and further, so that way your current threshold, interval, and repetition paces eventually catch up to your goal threshold, interval, and repetition paces. So that way you're moving up towards and building towards that goal pace that you want to run for that goal race. Now, in terms of easy runs, if you're running at a 24-minute 5K right now, depending on what you're using in terms of like your definition of easy pace, a lot of people can just go out and run easy. That works for them. Me, I tend to creep up a little bit too fast if I like trust my body in terms of what I think is easy, it feels easy. So if you're using kind of the 90 seconds slower than 5K or the 2 minutes slower than 10K, then you're looking at somewhere around 10-minute miles for your easy paces for someone who's a 24-minute 5K runner. And for the 22-minute 5K runner, your easy paces should be somewhere around 9 minutes and 21 seconds per mile. So probably if you're in that 22 or 24-minute 5K pace, that's probably going to seem really slow for your easy runs. But that also might mean that you're running your easy runs a little bit too hot. And that doesn't just mean like, hey, take it easy on all your days. That also means that on your training days, you should be pushing it up, ratcheting up that intensity a little bit harder. So that's the idea in terms of balancing those two kind of competing things of me telling you to go slower, but you also need to be able to go faster when it counts. So that's kind of the way I use it. I don't think that any of these things are kind of set in stone in terms of if you are this, then you must race and train at these kinds of paces. But I think they're helpful guideposts, places to start. The ultimate way is you're gonna run these workouts and see how you're feeling from them. Are you hitting those paces easily or not for the levels of time and with the level and amount of rest that you're prescribed? And then you can always kind of tweak things from there and go forward. It's not supposed to be one static thing that holds you over for the entire training plan. It's something that you're not like tweaking every workout, but continually looking at and kind of observing and monitoring to see how you're progressing throughout the course of a training kind of block. So hopefully that makes sense in terms of where to get some of those pace numbers from, why they exist, and where you would use them. If you have any questions about that, feel free to put them in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts or keep the conversations going. In subsequent video, not tomorrow, but in subsequent videos, I will be coming up with how to do kind of the same process for if you're heart rate training and also if you're using a power meter. So stay tuned for that. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I will see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?